All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Angela Thurman, and I am the owner of Thurman Co. LLC. We are a project management consulting firm located in Houston, Texas. Can everyone see this? I haven't shared it yet, so no, you can't see the slide. There, can everyone see the slide now? Lori, can you see it? Okay, great. So today is our final class in the MNI University course, a four-part series on project management. And today we're going to talk about ethics and leadership in project management. And then we're going to spend a few minutes talking about the value of the PMP certification or other certifications for project managers. So our agenda today is to talk about the PMI Code of Ethics, leading without formal authority, and then again, the value of the PMP. So these topics are a bit more subjective than the previous conversations that we've had, but when we talk about ethics and leadership, you will inherently recognize them when you see them. So project managers are expected to conduct their business with the highest degrees of integrity and to display ethical behavior. And that's because this directly impacts the results of the project and the objectives of the organization. And I believe that project managers are the unsung heroes of the organization because we lead sometimes large cross-functional teams to achieve the accomplish lengthy projects with very large budgets. And not a lot of people realize that. And we do this oftentimes without direct authority over anyone on the team. We're not their direct line managers. So then how do you lead a team to success when you don't have that formal authority? So the Project Management Institute has created a code of ethics that applies to all of its members. And it's evolved a bit over time, and it's very, very thorough. So there's a lengthy document called the Project Management, or that captures the PMI's code of ethics. But it can be boiled down to 4 core values, which are captured in a 4-point card. And those 4 core values are responsibility, respect, fairness, and honesty. And I think that that's a pretty good summary for what it means to demonstrate ethics and ethical behavior in project management, or basically anywhere. So when we talk about responsibility, the PMI's Code of Ethics value card defines responsibility this way. Responsibility is our duty to take ownership for the decisions that we make or fail to make, the actions we take or fail to take, and the consequences that result. Does anyone have anything to say about that definition for responsibility? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to proceed. Respect. So the next value is respect, and PMI defines respect as our duty to show a high regard for ourselves, others, and the resources that are entrusted to us. So resources that are entrusted to us may include people, money, reputation, the safety of others, and natural or environmental resources. And an environment of respect engenders trust, confidence, and performance by fostering cooperation. An environment where diverse perspectives and views are encouraged and valued. And I really appreciated this because it really talks about all the different resources, but I also like the fact that respect is our duty to show regard for others and ourselves, and how that then will foster an environment of trust and confidence, which then yields performance and cooperation. And that just really resonated with me. What are some other ideas that you might have with regard to respect? Lori, did you have something to say?
Well, given that the definition of a project has a start and a finish, when we finish a project and we launch into another one, a lot of times I'm faced with a new team, new people that I need to foster cooperation with quickly. And so I'm just trying to reflect on some of the things I do to show that high regard for others. And I just have to think about that. And just because I started it in a new project last week, it's making me think, what am I doing to show that high regard for others so I can gain their trust and confidence? I don't have an answer, but it's making me think.
I know that as I went through this in preparing these slides, it's also making me think, how can I continuously improve in my own attitudes and actions to show respect and to foster cooperation. So, right. The next core value is fairness. I think this one's a little bit easier to define as black and white. So fairness is our duty to make decisions and act impartially and objectively. And our conduct must be free from competing self-interest, prejudice, and favoritism. And this is very important for a project manager. So you have to be fair, you have to be objective, you do have to be impartial as you're making your decisions. Let's say part of your project is to make a decision around sourcing. Which supplier is going to provide materials or services related to the project? And you can't show favoritism. You cannot have prejudice, or certainly no self-interest when you're making those decisions. And I think that we all may have even, we may not even be aware of our own biases, but we need to try to be more self-aware of those internal biases. But I think that fairness is a little bit easier for us to develop an approach and continually improve on, because it's almost like it's more measurable. It's hard for me to measure respect, but it's really easy for me to measure fairness. Does anyone else have a comment on that?
I would just say that this should hold true for anyone in a leadership position, and it doesn't always. So it would be good to share if PMI's code of ethics was also shared among people in leadership positions.
I think that that's really true. So within Thurman Co., all of our project managers, regardless of whether they're a member of PMI, are held accountable to this code of ethics. And that, I believe, is simply because it's a best practice. Our customers want to know that we are going to act and behave with a certain level of ethical behavior. So I expect that. I expect to demonstrate it myself, but I expect my team members to demonstrate it as well. And that's regardless of whether you're a project manager or a social media assistant or the director of human resources. This is the level of behavior that I expect for all my team members. And Lori, I think you're absolutely right. The subject of ethics is, I mean, it's a whole area of study, and it's been, studied for centuries. But I really think that PMI has done a great job of bringing the essence of what is ethics down to the core values that we can all understand without getting into some existential debate. And then finally, the last of the core values is honesty. So honesty is our duty to understand the truth and then to act in a truthful manner, both in our communication and our conduct. So I think that the first step is to understand the truth. And sometimes that takes some effort because you hear so many messages. And you may have to, really dig into a subject and sort through the messaging to understand what is the truth. And then once you understand the truth, to act in a truthful manner. So for me, this means, among other things, not to participate in gossip. That's not being honest. Not to spread hearsay. And not to intentionally communicate things that I know are not the truth. And then that would be in my communications, and in my conduct, being honest in my conduct. What would you say, and I'm putting this out to the team, what would be evidence of being truthful in your conduct? Does anyone have an example they'd like to share? Yes, Lori, what would you say?
Oh, well, it's not really work related, but the first thing I thought of was when somebody gives me the wrong change at the store.
Yes.
They give me too much money. And it's happened before. And it's like, I look at that money, okay, what's the right thing to do here? Give it back.
Yeah, that is the perfect example. Thank you. And that sort of thing can happen to any one of us at any time. A work-related example that immediately comes to mind for me is falsifying documents. um, you know, let's say you're asked to um, um, create test reports, and you know that this shipment is not going to go out today unless the product passes a test, and the unit under test fails the test. Well, what's the right thing to do? Do you falsify the test report, and the shipment goes out and you make your month-end quota, or do you provide an accurate test report and the shipment does not go out and you miss your quota and your boss is angry, but you know in your heart that you were honest and the customer doesn't receive product that failed the quality test? That's a hard decision. It is. That's a really hard decision to make. But if you're going to be honest, you don't falsify documents. Okay, let's move on. So leadership for project managers. So the PMBOK body, which is the Project Management Body of Knowledge Guide, the new 7th edition, identifies 11 management principles that guide the project manager in the performance of their duties. And one of these is to demonstrate leadership behaviors. So every project manager is expected to be a leader, regardless of their official title. So what does this mean or look like in our everyday behaviors? So the leadership guide it means to demonstrate and adopt leadership behaviors to support individuals and team needs. So you want to promote project success and to contribute to positive project outcomes. And any project team member can demonstrate leadership behaviors. Leadership is different than authority. So leadership is your behavior. Authority is something that is granted to you by your organization, usually by someone in a higher level position. So effective leaders adapt their style to the situation. And you want to recognize differences in motivation among the different project team members. So some project team members are going to be motivated by praise. Some are going to be motivated by checking off those milestones. There are lots of different motivators, and an effective leader is going to recognize what those motivators are. And then leaders demonstrate the desired behaviors in all these different areas of honesty, integrity, and ethical conduct. So leadership comprises the attitude, talent, character, and behaviors to influence individuals within and outside the project team, because you want to achieve the desired objectives and outcomes. And this is your opportunity within the project environment to use your team's vision, creativity, motivation, enthusiasm, encouragement, and empathy to support the team to achieve those outcomes. And that is what leadership looks like. So leadership is not a specific role or title and should not be confused with authority. Authority is simply being in a position to control and to exercise power. So there are many leadership styles, and no one is best. Here are some examples. So we've got the autocratic versus the democratic, laissez-faire, directive, participative, assertive, supportive, and then something called autocratic to consensus. If you had to hazard a guess, what would you say your personal leadership style is? And then what are some of the styles that you've experienced in the past? And then if I could call on Carl, I know that you're a very effective leader. And I could probably take a guess, but what would you tell me that your leadership style is?
Well, it's to me, I'm not autocratic unless I have to be. I mean,
Yes.
that's, if you're forced down that road and it's like, okay, that's talking about the authority part of it there, then yeah, I'm gonna get you in line if I need to.
Uh-huh.
I try to keep the team as a group working together. I try to, not all times does this work, but I try to operate more on a kind of a family mode. So
Mm-hmm.
we're all for each other
Uh-huh.
and we're all about getting things done at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And if I need somebody to do something, then I may go to somebody and say, hey, I know this isn't the best deal in the world for you, but I really need you to step up here.
Mm-hmm.
Or, likewise, and you pass those things around too as needed.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like being autocratic, and democratic can work to an extent. But the problem is too many people start thinking their idea should be right. And if it isn't, you go another way. Sometimes people will get really hurt over that, get
Mm-hmm.
withdrawn. So you have to watch that too. So to me, leadership is service, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
to making sure that everybody's got what they need. You want to make them successful, to
Mm-hmm.
bring what their talents are to the project to help make it happen. And if you don't use that, then you can lose people in the group, and you don't want to do that. So
So it
I
sounds.
just example is part of leadership too.
Mm-hmm.
You have to lead by example. We're talking about integrity, and doing things. You talk about the truth too. For me, the truth has always been real simple. That's how I operate anyway, because of my beliefs. But to me, if you deal in the truth, you don't have to worry about the narrative. It doesn't change. The truth is the truth,
Mm-hmm.
and it's always the truth. And it's the truth 6 weeks from now, just like it is today. So
Mm-hmm.
6 weeks from now, when something comes up, it's like, well, we don't have to, oh, what did we tell them about that?
Mm-hmm.
There's no trying to remember the story. So all those things add into it, but you have to be an example,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to bring them in, and then you just have to make sure that they stay on point.
So it sounds to me like your style is more participative with a little bit of directive when needed.
Yes, absolutely. Here's what I need done, and I will allow you, unless you're new or you're kind of lost, I will let you just go do it if I know you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, in my experience with talking about the tree company, for example, I had guys I knew that they could just take care of it. It's like, here, just go take care of this for me. Get this off my plate, and out of our way.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew they could go do it, tough, easy, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then other times, yeah, you need to spend a little more time directing, hey, we've got a special project here and we're going to have to do this way or this way. This is very important. Your example about sending out bad stuff, you don't do it, but the problem is you got to solve the problem. What's wrong with the product?
Yeah.
So you may have people that you really trust to find that are really sharp and can find that stuff for you. It's like, here, go solve this problem, go find out what's going on here and keep me informed.
Mm-hmm.
And you just let them go because they're good at it. And they'll come to you if they need an idea or further help, whatever it is that they might need to go.
Yeah.
So
Excellent. Does anyone else want to add to this? Okay, well, let's move on to the next slide. Now, this is a little bit busy, but these are some skills that will build your leadership acumen. So focusing a project team around the agreed upon goals of the project, articulating a motivating vision for the project outcome. So I would take this as, if your team doesn't understand what the vision is for the project, it's going to be difficult to get them motivated to work toward those goals. So I think that part of the leadership aspect of being a project manager is making sure that your team understands, why are we doing this? What is our goal? Seeking the resources and the support for the project. This is definitely an area of leadership for the project manager, because the project manager is responsible for managing those resources and then generating consensus on the best way to move forward. At times, the project manager may be faced with multiple options on how the project should proceed. And it will be up to the project manager to get the team to agree on how we should proceed. And so getting that consensus is very, very important. And then overcoming any obstacles to the project progress. It's the responsibility of the project manager to be sort of the scout that goes ahead and identifies what the obstacles are, and then is the like the block and tackle kind of person that clears those obstacles in the path of the project and the team. And then negotiating and resolving conflict so that the team can be successful. And I can't think of any time I've had a project where there wasn't some sort of conflict that arose. And I don't mean people, being angry and with one another, but again, competing demands for the limited resources on people's time, for example. Adapting a communication style and messaging so that those messages are relevant to the audience. So a part of this is knowing your audience and then ensuring that you're communicating to that audience in a way that will be relevant to them. So maybe that's simply understanding, does this audience need to be addressed in a memo that you send out, or do you need a formal presentation for this message? Coaching and mentoring your fellow project team members, that's simply a part of being an effective leader and an effective project manager, because not everyone on the project team is going to be as experienced as you are in certain areas, and you'll need to mentor them and lead them. Appreciating and rewarding positive behaviors and contributions. And this is very, very important, especially as the project comes to a close, because you'll want to celebrate the successes. This builds camaraderie within the team. It helps build trust, and it helps provide the team with confidence in your leadership skills. And then providing opportunities for skill growth and development. So if you have a team member that is interested in a specific area of the project, or maybe they're simply interested in learning more about what you do as a project manager, you would have the opportunity to help them grow and develop by learning more about what you're doing, learning more about the objectives of the project. And um, I would advise you to take that opportunity to help them develop. And finally, facilitating collaborative decision making, because at although the project manager is the leader of the project team, it is not a good idea for you to make all the decisions in a vacuum. Remember that your other project team members are subject matter experts in their own right, and they have valuable knowledge and skills that will help you make better decisions for the project that will result in the best outcome possible. So you want to facilitate a collaborative environment for making decisions. And then here are just some more areas where you can continue to develop your acumen. One thing I would want to highlight, the third bullet down, building a cohesive project team that takes responsibility, because this is an area where we definitely want the team members to own the project, to own their tasks, and to feel that sense of responsibility for the outcome of the project. This is their project as much as it is yours. And then having self-awareness of your own biases and behaviors. This can be a little bit tricky because as I said earlier, we all have biases, and those biases can influence our decision-making process, our communication styles, and we want to be more self-aware so that we can account for that, or we can just make better decisions while being aware of the influence of our biases. And then finally, we want to be role models of the desired behaviors. And it's not like anyone is on a pedestal here, but if we don't model the desired behaviors, who will? So try and keep that in the back of your mind. Okay. So that brings us to the final topic for today, which is the value of the project management professional, or PMP, or other certifications for a project manager. So the PMP is the most globally recognized standard for project managers. And just having earned the PMP automatically provides you with credibility. And anyone searching for a project manager will know that you've completed substantial training, that you've likely have several years of experience, and that you've passed a rigorous exam to test your knowledge on the subject. Next, it tells employers and others that you meet a high standard of project management efficiency, accuracy, and knowledge. And finally, those who hold the PMP, like Lori and I, can command a higher salary. So research has shown that those project managers with the PMP frequently earn 20 to 25% more than their non-credentialed counterparts. So the requirements for the PMP are that, now this is assuming there are different standards for if you have experience or if you don't. if you don't have experience. So let's assume that you are a skilled professional with 3 or more years of experience. Then these are the requirements for you to sit for the PMP. If you have a high school degree or an associate's degree, then you have to have 60 months of experience leading projects, not just being involved in projects, but actually leading the projects. If you have a 4-year degree, then it's 36 months. If you're a graduate of a GAC program, then it's just 24 months. And in addition, you have to have 35 hours of project management education training, or also hold the CAPM certificate, which is like the predecessor to the PMP. So you have to have working experience plus training to sit for the PMP. The exam itself is a timed exam of 230 minutes, and it's comprised of 180 questions, some of which are multiple choice. And you take it in a controlled environment in a proctored setting that is offered by an approved PMI partner. And then once you've achieved or earned your PMP, you must maintain it by completing 60 professional development units every 3-year cycle. So there's ongoing professional development every 3 years to continue to hold your PMP.
Hey,
Does
Angela?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
What is GAC program? What is that?
I think that's like the international graduate program. I'd have to look it up to be certain.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I remember when I took my exam, it was a long time ago, but there were 200 questions and I had 4 hours, which is 240 minutes. So it looks like they've maybe reduced the scope of the exam since I took it under the 3rd edition.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a FYI. So if anybody is interested in getting their PMP, it's important to know when changes are coming to the PMBOK, which is the Bible, the guide.
The Project Management Bible, yes.
Yeah, and when they're going to implement that into the exam, because it's important to know that you're studying the right material.
That's a really important observation, Lori. Thank you. Because every time they get ready to release a new PMBOK, there's always a rush for people to take the exam before the exam changes. Any other observations or questions? All right. So this is a snapshot that I got from pmexperto.com. So the cost of the PMP, there's the exam fee, and you may want to take like an online training course. You may also want to take some practice tests. And so there's a total cost involved. Now, when I took the exam back in 2010, I did take a training course that was offered by my local junior college. So we met on Saturday morning for like 8 weeks. And I also I purchased a few things like flashcards. So I did have an investment, but it was well worth it. And then there's the exam fee. Now, if you work for a corporation, you could certainly inquire whether those fees are covered by your educational reimbursement plan, because a lot of corporations will pay not only for your PMI fee, annual dues, but also for your certification and any ancillary fees related to your certification. So I would certainly advise you to look into that. And then, so this is the cost, and this is the result. So here's the potential impact of earning your PMP. So again, this is from the pmexperto.com website. And at the time that they posted this, here was the result of having your PMP certification versus not having the certification on the mean salary of PMs in multiple countries. So just in the US, the increase in earning was a little over 32%. So I would say that investing, somewhere in the range of $1,000 plus all the hard work that you've done, definitely could, I would say it would be worth it if it could have the potential to increase your salary 30%. But it's something that, you have to decide whether that's worth it to you. But in my mind, at the time that I took the PMP, it was well worth it. I was seeking employment at that time, and I had seen so many job requests or listings that said PMP required or PMP preferred, that it was an indicator to me that having the PMP was a differentiator. All right, any questions on the PMP? Okay, any questions about anything else that we've covered today?
I would ask one thing about the test.
Yes, Carl.
Is it a standardized test? In other words, does everybody get the same test?
That is a great question, and the answer is not exactly.
Okay.
So there's a bank of questions, and when you sit down to take your test, you will get 180 questions out of the bank of questions. So your exam might not look exactly like the fellow sitting next to you taking the exam at the exact same time.
Yeah,
I kind of figured they do that a lot these days. That was the way my arborist certification went. There's like 20% of the questions are always going to be different from test to test to test to test. And like you say, they operate out of a huge bank of questions. So,
However,
you different. I don't know. Is it separated into different types of subjects too?
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone will be tested over each section of material. You will all be tested on X, Y, and Z. You just may not get the exact same questions. Lori, did you want to comment on that as well?
Yeah, I wanted to comment that the way the questions are asked in the exam is very different from any exam I've ever taken. And when I took I took like a crash course. It was a very well structured course, and I credit that course to getting me to pass the exam on the first try, because of the way the questions are structured. I was coached on how to dissect the question and then look at the multiple choice answers and understand which answer best answered the question once it was dissected. And I don't think I could have passed just by, reading the PMBOK. So that's the interesting thing about the exam, is the way the questions are asked. Most of the questions, every choice on the multiple list is a viable answer.
Yes.
But we're tested to pick the best one given that situation or the way the question was worded. So there's some interpretation that I had to go through on each question.
I would certainly agree with that. Any other questions, or would you like to review any of the slides again? If not, I would just like to thank all of you for participating in this series. It's been absolutely delightful to meet all of you and to have you participate. If you have any questions about project management, the PMBOK, PMI, any related subject, I'd be happy to help you in whatever way I can. Here's my contact information. And I just wish you the best in your project management journey. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Amy.
Angela.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.